Chosen one, stop scrolling immediately. Do not move past this video. I am not asking because I am warning you with absolute authority. Someone who shares your exact bloodline is currently experiencing a full-blown internal system crash, and it is a public and irreversible collapse. You know exactly who I am talking about. They walked around with absolute arrogance for years. They constructed a completely false narrative about you. They whispered lies to anyone in the family who would listen. They expected your departure to permanently break you, but instead you became the uncertainty they were never built to handle. And now the very people they used to gossip with are watching them unravel. Their mask has not just slipped today, it has completely shattered. The whole town is going to be shocked and disgusted. The people who believed their sweet, innocent act are finally seeing the rot underneath. This is not happening in private, behind closed doors. It is a public humiliation orchestrated by divine justice. Buckle in right now, because what you are about to hear is not just commentary, it is a specific and undeniable X-ray of their meltdown. This is not a coincidence, and the algorithm absolutely did not bring you here. God intercepted your feed today because you are standing at the exact threshold of a permanent timeline shift. What I am about to reveal was sealed in the throne room of heaven until this very second. The enemy is working overtime to distract you right now. He hopes you will swipe away blindly. Look closely. He knows that if you hear this message, his hold over your life breaks completely. If you leave before the end, you will forfeit the exact prophetic instruction that guarantees your breakthrough. Lock your attention right now. The verdict on your next decade is about to be read aloud. You have been fighting battles in absolute silence for years. You thought nobody noticed your silent tears. But you were completely wrong. Someone deeply powerful has been quietly watching your resilience in the dark. It is a unique kind of pain when the betrayal comes from your own sibling. They grew up in the same house, and they ate at the same table. But they harbored a venomous jealousy toward your pure light. They could never manufacture the authentic grace you carry naturally, so they decided to steal your energy instead. You were the ultimate empath, and they were the perfect parasite. They drained you while pretending to be the victim in every single story. They weaponized your empathy, and they turned your own family against you. It was a calculated assassination of your character. But the spiritual cost of their betrayal was compounding every single day. You waited in wound for an apology that would never come. You swallowed the heavy injustice while they paraded around town like a saint. But heaven does not ignore the tears of the chosen ones. Your quiet obedience in private has just activated a massive public blessing. Watch carefully. The scales of divine justice are tipping violently in your direction right now. The very people who judged you are about to feel a sickening wave of regret. They will soon realize they protected a monster and banished a diamond. The sibling who tried to bury you is frantically trying to maintain their perfect image. But the foundation is crumbling rapidly beneath their feet. They are suffocating in the noise of their own making right now. It is over. They are desperately searching for a replacement for your pure energy, but they are quickly realizing that your specific depth is utterly unreplicable. They are starving for your light, and the spiritual backlash is hitting their physical body while they try to hide their panic. You might have felt a sudden tightness in your chest lately. Stop swallowing that anxiety today. That heavy physical weight is your highly advanced spirit detecting their absolute panic. They just realized they permanently lost access to you. The generational patterns that plagued your bloodline end with you today. You are the cycle breaker heaven has been desperately waiting for. You did not just survive their toxic storm, you stepped into your untouchable power. The truth is far more disgusting than anyone in your family could have ever imagined. The whole town is going to feel physically sick when the final curtain drops. And they will have to look you in the eyes and silently beg for your forgiveness. But you will not offer them a single ounce of your precious energy. Your silence was a lethal weapon that starved their demons completely. Listen to me very carefully, because 99% of people completely miss this shift. You are about to witness the most beautiful and terrifying act of divine retribution. The narcissist is malfunctioning, and the flying monkeys are scattering in pure terror. Stay with me right here, because the first layer of their dirty secret is about to be violently exposed to the light. Now let us go deeper. What you are feeling right now is not new. Listen closely to my voice. The enemy tried to hide this exact truth from you. You wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning. There is a suffocating weight on your chest. Your jaw is locked tight, and your heart is racing in the dark. This is not normal anxiety. You are not going crazy. You do not need medical intervention. That heavy physical weight is your highly advanced spirit detecting a massive disturbance. It is the frantic energy of the sibling who just realized they can no longer feed on your light. They are starving in the spiritual realm, and the backlash is hitting your physical body. Stop swallowing that burning lump in your throat. You feel it every single time their name is mentioned. You have carried the somatic weight of their jealousy for decades. You absorbed their toxic projections just to keep the fragile peace in the family. But your body is finally rejecting the parasite. You are purging their dark matrix programming completely. There is a unique and agonizing pain when the knife is held by your own blood. You grew up under the exact same roof. You shared the exact same childhood memories. You inherently trusted them, because society tells us that blood is thicker than water. But they weaponized that sacred bond to completely dismantle your reputation. They watched you bloom with a pure and authentic grace. They could never possess that light. Instead of celebrating your glow, they deeply resented your divine alignment. They studied your vulnerabilities while pretending to be your closest ally. And then, they systematically used your deepest secrets to turn the entire family against you. They played the perfect victim. They painted you as the unstable villain. You watched in absolute horror. The flying monkeys blindly swallowed their pathetic lies. Aunts and uncles and childhood friends completely turned their backs on you without asking for your side. The isolation felt like a heavy prison sentence you never actually deserved. You were the emotional stabilizer for a deeply dysfunctional family system. You constantly acted as the human battery for their relentless chaos and drama. You poured your golden energy into them until you were left completely empty. And the moment you established a healthy boundary, they discarded you like absolute trash. It is a sickening realization. You finally see the monster hiding behind a familiar face. You realize they never truly loved you. They only loved the endless supply of energy and validation you constantly provided. You were the ultimate empath. They were a bottomless black hole of endless need. They mirrored your goodness to trap you. They walked around the town square, smiling and shaking hands with absolute confidence. They constructed a flawless public persona. It was built entirely on your stolen energy and your suppressed truth. Every time you tried to defend yourself, you were labeled as bitter and dramatic. So you retreated into silence. You chose your dignity over a petty public war. That silence was incredibly heavy to carry. It felt like swallowing broken glass. You endured this every time they gathered for holidays without you. You spent birthdays and quiet weekends crying alone while they celebrated their fake victories. You wondered if the universe had completely forgotten your quiet and painful sacrifice. But heaven was actively recording everything. Your isolation was not a punishment. It was not a tragic stroke of bad luck. It was a divine incubation season designed to protect you from their absolute rot. God removed you from that toxic table because the food was spiritually poisoned. You had to be separated. You needed space to finally step into your calling as the ultimate cycle breaker. They thought your prolonged absence would eventually destroy your spirit. They waited eagerly for you to fail. They wanted to point and laugh at your misery, but instead, you aged backwards. You stepped completely out of their matrix and began to radiate an untouchable, ageless glow. Your pure success is driving them completely insane right now. Do not let your left brain rationalize their evil behavior any longer. There is no compromise with a demon who wears your sibling's face. You cannot negotiate with a parasite that actively wants to consume your very soul. You must accept that they are a glitch in the matrix. They failed their spiritual assignment. You owe them absolutely nothing. If your spirit confirms this raw truth, gently press the like button. This seals your energetic alignment with heaven. Do it right now to physically anchor this divine revelation into your reality. This simple action builds a spiritual shield around your newly claimed power. We are about to dive into the exact mechanism of their total and public ruin. Let me completely reframe your reality right now. You did not lose. You probably looked at your sibling and wondered why they despised you so deeply. You shared the same parents and the same upbringing. You naturally assumed they wanted the best for you. But here is the raw truth they could never say out loud. They did not just envy your achievements, because they were fundamentally terrified of your raw spiritual authority. You are the chosen one. This is exactly where their entire manipulation miscalculated. They thought they could dim your light by spreading venomous rumors to the family, but they fundamentally misunderstood the true nature of your power. You see, they are a completely empty vessel. They have no internal compass, and they have no authentic identity. They must constantly steal energy from others just to feel a fleeting sense of purpose. And you were born with a self-sustaining inner sun. That is the exact reason your own blood stabbed you in the back. You were not the anomaly in someone else's otherwise healthy life. You were the mirror. Every single time you walked into a room, your pure energy illuminated their deep internal rot. You did not even have to say a single word. Your mere existence as a cycle breaker reminded them of everything they were completely incapable of becoming. They hated you because you naturally commanded the respect they had to fiercely beg and manipulate for. They spent their entire life studying you like a desperate subject in a laboratory. They memorized your mannerisms, and they shamelessly copied your style. They desperately tried to replicate your effortless grace in front of the whole town. But heaven does not anoint cheap copies. You carry a specific and irreplaceable gravity that makes time itself look like a fool. You are the irreplaceable diamond. They are just cheap glass, desperately trying to catch the light. Listen to me very closely right now, because 99% of people completely miss this shift. The narcissist relies on a synchronized matrix of lies to maintain their fragile reality. When you were around, you constantly disrupted their carefully constructed illusion. Your frequency was simply too high for their demonic programming to process, so they had to orchestrate a massive smear campaign to exile you from the family. It was a desperate act of spiritual survival for a dying parasite. Here is what happens when a lie gets built that incredibly big. It requires a massive amount of stolen energy to sustain. Without you acting as their emotional battery, they are rapidly running out of fuel. The sibling who tried to bury you is now suffocating under the heavy weight of their own deception. They are scrambling wildly to find someone else to blame. But the universe has firmly locked all the escape doors. Heaven is demanding immediate and public accountability. This brings us to a critical distinction that eludes the vast majority of people. You probably thought your silence during their smear campaign was a sign of weakness. You thought you were just hiding from the storm while they destroyed your name. Let me completely shatter that matrix illusion right now. Your restraint was not weakness. That silence was a weapon. And it is the exact weapon that is destroying them from the inside out today. They fully expected you to fight back publicly. They wanted you to scream and cry and defend yourself to the flying monkeys. Because your chaotic reaction would have provided them with the exact energetic fuel they constantly craved. They needed you to look crazy so their pathetic lies would seem true. But you gave them absolutely nothing. You walked away and you starved their demons completely. You cut the cord and you left them starving in the absolute dark. Their entire nervous system is heavily malfunctioning right now. They are obsessively checking your social media from fake accounts. They are asking the flying monkeys for updates on your life. And what they see is absolutely terrifying to them. They see you stepping into your untouchable power. They see you glowing with divine alignment while they are rapidly decaying from the inside. Your absolute peace is their ultimate and inescapable punishment. You were specifically chosen to break the generational curses that plagued your bloodline for decades. The cycles of manipulation and poverty and betrayal stop permanently with you. Your sibling chose to comfortably partner with those familiar dark spirits. They wanted the comfortable lies of the Matrix, while you demanded the raw truth of heaven. That fundamental difference in frequency made a violent collision absolutely inevitable. You did not provoke them. Your pure light simply offended their rotting darkness. Every time they try to sleep, their own agonizing guilt eats them alive. They know exactly what they did to you in secret. The flawless facade is cracking right down the middle for everyone to see. The people in your town are starting to notice the desperate panic in their eyes. The whole narrative is unraveling much faster than they can stitch it back together. Stay with me right now, because the most brutal phase of their public collapse is just beginning. You are a demonstrated warrior of light. You do not need to explain your holy scars to anyone in that town. The divine justice system is currently operating on your behalf with terrifying precision. They thought they could throw you to the wolves and steal your entire kingdom, but heaven intercepted their wicked plot permanently. They became the exact shovel that dug up your greatest treasure. Watch what happens next. It is mathematically precise and absolutely ruthless. Let us completely dismantle the illusion they tried to sell you. You thought your silence was just a defense mechanism to survive their abuse. You probably believed going no contact was simply a way to protect your peace. But the spiritual reality is far more severe, and heaven has actively weaponized your boundary to completely destroy their wicked foundation. That single act of choosing your dignity over your revenge signed their absolute eviction notice. It handed the final verdict to a divine court they can never appeal. Your silence was never a white flag of surrender or a sign of your defeat. It was the most lethal weapon you could have ever deployed against them. And it is actively tearing their false reality apart right now, because a parasite simply cannot survive without the chaotic emotional reactions of its primary victim. They desperately needed you to scream and defend yourself against their calculated lies. They wanted to point at your perfectly justified anger and loudly call you unstable, because your chaotic reaction would have justified every single lie they told the family. But you completely refused to play your assigned role in their sick matrix programming. You walked away without fighting, and that absolute refusal to engage immediately choked off their stolen oxygen supply. Now I need you to imagine this exact scenario happening behind their closed doors right now. They are pacing the floors in the dark because they cannot figure out your next move. They threw their most toxic venom at you, but you simply kept shining with pure grace. That lack of reaction is driving them into a state of severe psychological starvation today. A master manipulator cannot function when their primary target completely ignores their existence. They are rapidly malfunctioning because you became the ultimate uncertainty they were never built to handle. They spent years mapping out your emotional triggers and predicting exactly how you would break. But your sudden elevation completely destroyed the sick little game they were trying to play. They are staring at a blank wall, and the silence you left behind is screaming at them louder than any argument you could have ever made. You took your precious power back. Type 777 in the comments right now to physically claim this incoming miracle. Do it quickly to lock in your frequency before we move to the next revelation. This physical action anchors your absolute power and builds an energetic wall around your peace. You are no longer waiting in wound for an apology from a pathetic and empty manipulator. You stepped into a timeline where their opinions are completely irrelevant to your massive success. You are the sun, and they are violently burning up in your newly claimed atmosphere. Every single day that you maintain no contact, their internal panic multiplies heavily. They try to post happy pictures online to falsely prove they are completely unbothered. But it is a desperate performance designed entirely for an audience of one. They are obsessively watching you, and they are terrified because they realize they traded a genuine diamond for a handful of cheap, crumbling rocks. They want to see if their total absence has finally ruined your beautiful life. But instead of crying in a corner, you are stepping into a profound, ageless glow. Your absolute freedom is the ultimate mirror reflecting their complete and devastating internal emptiness. They thought you would crawl back to the family table and beg for their fake love. Instead, you built your own magnificent table, and heaven is actively preparing a feast for you while your enemies watch from the freezing dark outside. Listen to me very closely right now, because the atmosphere is shifting incredibly fast. The whole town is starting to feel the heavy, energetic imbalance your sibling created. A lie that big requires a massive amount of constant daily maintenance to survive. And because you are no longer supplying the fuel, they are making sloppy mistakes. The flawless public facade is slipping, and the people who used to blindly praise them are starting to notice the frantic desperation in their eyes. They are overcompensating and talking way too loudly about how perfect their fake life is. People in the family are slowly waking up from the hypnotic trance they were under. The very same flying monkeys who helped crucify you are quietly starting to whisper. They are looking at your silent grace and deeply comparing it to your sibling's chaotic noise. The truth always rises to the surface, and heaven is currently orchestrating a magnificent revelation that will permanently clear your name. You did not have to lift a single physical finger to expose their wicked heart. The universe is actively using their own blinding arrogance to construct their perfect, absolute downfall. They thought they could permanently banish the chosen one and easily take your heavy crown. But heaven specifically designed this entire isolating season to expose their hidden rot to the world. Every malicious trap they set for you has secretly become the exact mechanism of their own inescapable and spectacular destruction. Read that again in your spirit, and let it wash over your deeply tired soul. Your absolute refusal to engage is the exact catalyst for their total public destruction. They are bleeding out spiritually, and they cannot find a single bandage big enough today. Stay with me right here, because the universe is about to show you undeniable proof. The people who eagerly swallowed their toxic lies are about to violently choke on the raw truth of your pure innocence. The atmosphere in your hometown is shifting violently right now. You can feel the heavy change in the spiritual climate. The people who blindly followed your sibling are waking up from a deep hypnotic trance. The flying monkeys are finally starting to see the massive cracks in the false narrative, and heaven is forcing their sleepy eyes wide open today. A lie that massive requires perfect memory to maintain over the years, but your sibling is rapidly losing their grip on the fabricated details. They are repeating the same old stories. The facts are violently contradicting themselves. The relatives who eagerly cut you off are suddenly pausing to question the timeline. The matrix programming is completely failing. An aunt notices a vicious tone in their voice that she never saw before. An uncle suddenly remembers your consistent and quiet kindness. They are putting the broken puzzle pieces together in real time. The flawless victim routine is suddenly looking incredibly rehearsed and totally hollow because your sibling is completely overplaying their desperate hand right now. Read that again in your spirit and let it resonate deeply. The very people who acted as a personal army for your sibling are becoming their strict jury. They used to feast on the toxic gossip about your sudden downfall. But now that venom is leaving a bitter and disgusting taste in their mouths, and the town is exhausted by the constant manufactured drama, your sibling desperately tries to invent new lies to keep the town distracted. But without you there to react, the new stories sound completely absurd. The crowd is staring at them with silent and heavy judgment. They are starting to realize that the chaos always followed your sibling, and you were never the actual problem in that deeply dysfunctional family. You were the ultimate emotional stabilizer for the entire bloodline. Family gatherings are now completely miserable without your golden energy to balance the room. Your sibling is acting incredibly erratic and highly aggressive at these events. Everyone is watching the perfect mask slip down to reveal the actual monster underneath, and it is a truly terrifying sight to witness. They are secretly comparing your sibling's frantic noise to your majestic silence. They look at your life from afar, and they see undeniable divine favor. You are radiating a pure, ageless glow while your sibling looks completely drained. The physical toll of carrying such intense malice is aging your sibling rapidly, and the sharp contrast is absolutely undeniable now. A sickening wave of heavy guilt is washing over the flying monkeys today. They are finally realizing they exiled the completely wrong person. They actively protected a starving parasite, and they foolishly banished a rare diamond from the family. They threw the chosen one into the cold dark just to please a raging narcissist, and heaven is making them feel the full weight of their massive mistake. Listen to me very closely right now, because this part is crucial. Your sibling knows the town is slowly turning against them. They can feel the cold shift in the room when they walk in. The group chats go completely silent whenever they desperately post for attention, and the social isolation they meticulously planned for you is now violently trapping them instead. They try to double down on the victim act, but nobody is comforting them anymore. The flying monkeys are physically backing away from the toxic radiation. They finally see the pure, unadulterated malice flashing in your sibling's empty eyes. It is a horrifying realization for the people who trusted them the most, because they were just disposable pawns in a very sick game. These relatives are absolutely terrified of the spiritual karma they incurred by hurting you. They want to reach out and offer you a pathetic apology. They want to clear their guilty conscience and pretend they were simply fooled. But they are entirely too ashamed to face your pure and blinding light, and they secretly know they do not deserve your precious forgiveness. Let me declare this truth over your life right now. You owe those people absolutely nothing. You do not need their late validation to confirm your incredible worth. Heaven already validated your pure heart while you were crying alone in the dark. The cycle breaker stands completely alone in absolute glory, and you are totally untouchable in this powerful new season. Share this specific message with one soul who is desperately crying out in the dark for a shift. Do it right now to build our powerful tribe of cycle breakers. The universe is actively aligning the final pieces on the grand chessboard. The town is holding its breath as the hidden truth completely surfaces, and the heavy walls are closing in on your sibling from every single direction. They have absolutely no escape route left, because their own lies built this cage. The flying monkeys have dropped their weapons and abandoned the sinking ship. Your sibling is standing completely alone on a crumbling foundation of pure deceit. Stay exactly where you are and do not look away, because the most explosive and satisfying moment of their public ruin is finally here. The moment of absolute reckoning has finally arrived. Heaven is dropping the heavy gavel on their fragile false reality right now. You waited patiently in the dark for this exact cinematic moment. and divine justice is executing the sentence with utterly terrifying precision. The whole town is standing completely still in absolute horror as the disgusting truth about their behavior drops like a massive bomb. They thought they had buried their dirty secret forever. They genuinely believed no one would ever find out what they did in the dark, but heaven actively orchestrated a flawless and undeniable exposure. A leaked message or an accidental confession suddenly surfaced out of absolutely nowhere. The undeniable proof of their extreme malice is suddenly flashing before the entire community. It is not just a simple misunderstanding. It is a deeply disgusting revelation about their true character. People are physically recoiling in pure horror as they read the absolute truth, because they realize your sibling orchestrated the entire smear campaign to hide their own sickening behavior. Your sibling was stealing and manipulating while projecting all of their vile sins onto you. And here is the exact verdict we promised you at the very beginning. That public collapse you were waiting for is happening right now in front of the very people they gossiped with. The town is looking at them with raw and unfiltered disgust. The perfect golden child mask has violently shattered into a million sharp pieces on the floor. There is absolutely nowhere left for them to hide today. Watch closely as they completely lose their mind in public. They are frantically pacing and sweating while trying to invent another lie. Their voice is shaking wildly as they desperately try to spin the narrative back in their favor, but the heavy silence in the room is utterly deafening. Nobody is nodding in agreement anymore. Nobody is rushing to comfort their fake, pathetic tears. In a final act of pure desperation, they try to blame you again. They scream your name and try to remind everyone of the old lies, but a former flying monkey looks them dead in the eye and tells them to shut up. That is the exact moment their entire soul violently leaves their physical body. The realization hits them like a speeding train in the absolute dark. They have lost complete control over the narrative and their audience. The very people they used as weapons against you are now standing as their strict jury, and the entire town is completely turning their backs on them simultaneously. The social banishment they so carefully planned for you has become their own permanent and inescapable prison, and you did not even lift a single finger. You won this massive war by simply maintaining your majestic silence. You starved their demons, and heaven fought the entire battle on your behalf. Every time your name comes up in that room now, it hits them with agonizing weight. They realize they threw away the only genuine diamond they ever held just to play with incredibly cheap rocks, and the regret is actively eating them alive. They are publicly crying and begging for the validation they used to demand. But the well is completely dry, and the town feels incredibly sick to their stomachs. People are actively deleting their numbers and avoiding them in the streets. The parasite is experiencing a total system failure because they cannot survive without their stolen public adoration, and they are suffocating in their own poison. Meanwhile, you are watching this spectacular ruin from a place of absolute peace. You are entirely untouched by the flying debris of their collapsing matrix. You stepped into your untouchable power, and the universe rewarded your obedience, while the people who doubted you are now forced to swallow the bitter ashes of their own foolish judgment. Your pure innocence is radiating like a blinding sun. They want to crawl to your doorstep and beg for your merciful forgiveness. They want to absorb just one more drop of your golden energy to survive, but heaven has placed a massive flaming sword at the entrance to your kingdom. They are permanently locked out of your magnificent reality. They will have to live the rest of their pathetic life, knowing they completely destroyed their own destiny. This is the exact vengeance heaven prepared for the cycle breaker. Your name is being completely cleared in the very rooms where they tried to destroy it. The whole town knows that you were the victim of a calculated and demonic setup, but you are no longer a victim today. You are the undisputed victorious royalty of this entire story. The universe has proudly crowned you in front of your enemies. Drink in this massive victory because you paid a heavy price for it. You endured the lonely nights and the silent, agonizing tears. Now it is their turn to choke on the heavy weight of absolute isolation. The scales are perfectly balanced again. Their public ruin is the beautiful fertilizer for your incoming massive harvest, and you completely defeated the enemy by simply refusing to play their sick game. The massive storm has finally passed completely out of your beautiful life. You can physically feel the heavy dust settling on the barren ground. Take a deep and restorative breath in this exact moment. The chaotic noise of their desperate ruin is fading completely into the background while you stand safely at a distance. You are standing in a place of absolute and profound peace today. Heaven has permanently secured your massive victory over the dark matrix. You walked into this heavy season bleeding from wounds inflicted by people who were completely blind to your immense worth. They desperately tried to break your pure spirit, but I want you to look at your magnificent self right now. You are absolutely no longer a victim of their highly toxic matrix. You shed that heavy identity completely and permanently. You are proudly stepping into the glorious role of a divine sovereign who controls their own destiny. You are no longer waiting in wound for an apology from a pathetic master manipulator. You simply do not need their fake and empty validation anymore. You have completely transcended their low-frequency dimension. While they are publicly unraveling and losing their minds in town, you are confidently stepping into your permanent and untouchable, ageless glow. The universe has officially crowned you in front of your incredibly bitter enemies. The generational patterns that heavily plagued your bloodline for decades are completely broken. The painful cycles of poverty and broken relationships end with you today. You are the specific cycle breaker heaven has been desperately waiting for. You carried the heavy cross of your family trauma for years, and you successfully burned their wicked expectations to the ground. Your exhausted nervous system is finally returning to its natural state of beautiful rest. You no longer have to act as the human battery for a deeply dysfunctional family system. That dark and exhausting chapter is permanently closed for you. You are entirely free from the parasitic sibling who constantly drained your precious and golden energy. Your pure light belongs completely and unapologetically to you now. Time was originally supposed to age you and break your beautiful spirit. Yet here you are making time itself look like an absolute fool. You did not just survive their extremely toxic storm, but you completely bent time and aged backwards into glowing perfection despite their vicious attacks. Nothing makes your enemies sicker than seeing you thrive without their presence. The financial struggles and the spiritual exhaustion are violently shattering right here and right now. Step directly into your absolute power and receive the exact massive harvest heaven prepared for you. You actively earned this immense reward with your silent and unwavering dignity. The closed doors are violently bursting open to reveal your glorious new destiny, and nobody in that town can stop your divine momentum. You are a demonstrated warrior of light with the holy scars to prove your immense strength. Every single tear you cried in secret has been transformed into a massive diamond for your heavy crown. Heaven collected your quiet pain, and the universe used every single drop to meticulously build your untouchable kingdom. The divine justice system worked perfectly on your behalf, while you simply rested in absolute faith. This is the magnificent and undisputed reality of the genuine chosen ones. We do not fight dirty battles in the mud with desperate and empty manipulators. We simply elevate our powerful frequency until the enemy completely suffocates in the thin air of our massive success. You successfully starved their demons, and you beautifully fed your own divine spirit until you became absolutely untouchable. The ultimate victory is permanently yours today. You are the blinding sun, and the dark clouds have completely vanished from your clear sky. shine your pure light without a single ounce of regret or apology. The people who truly belong in your new reality are actively being drawn to your majestic frequency right now. Prepare your open heart to receive a completely new tribe of authentic and loving souls who will never betray you. The painful season of deep isolation has officially and permanently ended. The beautiful season of your massive manifestation is completely active right now. You are fully aligned with the exact and powerful frequency of heaven. Everything you lost in that toxic fire is being rapidly restored to you in unimaginable multiples, and you are stepping into a life of absolute abundance. Step forward and confidently claim your eternal throne. Your powerful name is forever written in the stars as a triumphant cycle breaker. You prove to the entire universe that darkness can never extinguish a genuine and pure light. Let your absolute peace be the final nail in the coffin of their pathetic false narrative. The chaotic reign of the jealous narcissist is completely over, and the glorious reign of the chosen one has finally begun. You have officially arrived at the final threshold of this massive spiritual journey. The heavy doors of your painful past are permanently locking behind you today. The universe is actively preparing to pour out an unprecedented level of absolute abundance into your new life. But there is one final and crucial step you must take right now. You did not survive that brutal fire just to live a mediocre and quiet life. The undeniable verdict of explosive wealth has already been signed in heaven. But heaven requires a physical anchor on this earth to fully activate the massive blessing while the window is open. You must physically partner with this specific divine mandate today. The enemy knows exactly what is waiting for you on the other side of this moment. He will try to whisper financial doubt and hesitation into your left brain right now. He will tell you to wait and calculate your next move carefully. You must silence his desperate voice immediately. That hesitation is the exact matrix programming designed to keep you completely broke. God does not measure your immense faith by your positive thoughts alone. He measures your true readiness by your absolute speed of obedience. The window of divine multiplication is standing wide open right now, and it requires a physical act of faith to permanently anchor this wealth. Prove to the universe that you are finally ready to receive. Sow your seed of faith today to partner your finances with this specific prophetic word. Your generosity actively triggers the immediate harvest heaven has prepared for you. Do not let the dark matrix steal your opportunity to multiply your resources. Plant your seed in this fertile spiritual ground right now and watch heaven multiply your harvest before the sun rises. You can leave a super thanks or use the giving link provided in the comments. This is absolutely not a transaction because it is a sacred energy exchange. You are declaring to the spiritual realm that you fully trust the divine process. Your immediate obedience forces the universe to release the heavy floodgates of abundance directly over your magnificent life. Let us completely seal this powerful frequency so the enemy can never steal it. Subscribe to this sanctuary right now so you never miss the exact prophetic instruction heaven releases next. We are rapidly building an untouchable tribe of genuine cycle breakers all over the world. You belong here with the rare souls who truly understand your specific journey. Hit that like button right now to put a permanent spiritual shield around this divine truth. Every single interaction builds a heavier fortress around your newly claimed peace. Share this specific message with one chosen soul who is desperately crying out in the dark for a shift. Be their guiding angel today and help them completely escape the toxic matrix. I want you to make a powerful public declaration to finalize this absolute victory. Type the word accept in the comments below right now. When your fingers physically type those letters, you are signing an eternal contract with heaven. You are officially confirming that the heavy chains of the toxic manipulation are permanently broken and completely destroyed. Do not hesitate for a single second, because your immediate action creates a massive energetic ripple. The universe strictly rewards the bold warriors who step into the light without fear. Your simple act of typing those letters violently shakes the demonic realm. The enemy is watching you claim your absolute freedom, and he is completely terrified of your new authority. You have officially graduated from the painful season of deep isolation and heavy spiritual warfare. You passed the brutal test when you chose to maintain your pure dignity while your enemies tried to destroy your holy name. Heaven is incredibly proud of the silent restraint you demonstrated over the years. You are now stepping onto the sacred throne that was always meant for you. The narcissist and the flying monkeys will slowly fade into the forgotten background of your story. They are permanently locked inside the chaotic prison they built with their own disgusting lies. You will never have to absorb their toxic and parasitic energy ever again. The divine boundary is completely sealed, and your pure light is fiercely protected by angelic forces. Your future is completely blinding with the promise of genuine love and massive unbothered success. Every single day will bring a new confirmation of your elite status as a cycle breaker. Keep your head held incredibly high as you walk through your beautiful new reality. You are the undisputed victorious royalty of this bloodline, and your reign starts today. Thank you for trusting this divine channel with your precious and highly guarded energy. Stay deeply anchored in your truth, and never let anyone dim your majestic glow again. The universe is fiercely fighting for you in rooms you have not even entered yet. I will see you in the next powerful transmission when heaven releases the next crucial mandate.